As you might have seen, S3 does not need any storage management. Everything is done automatically. What if number of requests to upload or download objects increase over time? You don't need to worry about it at all because S3 scales automatically to support high requests, very high requests. How does S3 do it? An S3 bucket is partitioned across multiple storage devices to support these high request rates. Something like this. Objects in the same bucket may be scattered across multiple devices and everything happens automatically. S3 would increase or decrease the number of partitions based on data size and number of requests. Object keys dictate which partition an object would be saved into or stored in. So object key plays a very important role while deciding to put data in partitions. This example has been taken from AWS documentation. If you see here, after the bucket name, a lot of objects have been put in the same folder. So because of this, it makes it highly likely that all these objects would be stored in the same partition, which will overwhelm the I/O capacity of that particular partition. But if you introduce randomness in the object key name like this, we can easily assume that I/O distribution would be equal as objects would be stored in random. These practices should be followed then. If there are more than 100 put, delete and list requests per second, you should randomize your object key. Similarly, if your get requests are more than 300 per second, you should consider randomizing your object key name. To track requests for access to buckets, server access logging can be enabled. It is totally free, you don't have to pay anything. Each access log record provides details about a single access request, such as the requester, bucket name, request time, etc. etc. Access log information can be very useful in security, monitoring, and audit purposes. So access logging enables to track requests at bucket level. The access logs themselves are stored in separate S3 buckets. This is how the format of log files would be. We'll have bucket owner, bucket name, time at which the request was received, the IP address of the requester, the ID of the requester, object key, request URI, HTTP status code, the size of the object, total time taken, total turnaround time, referrer, user agent, version ID, etc. etc. Let's enable access logging and see what information can be pulled from log files. Suppose I want to enable server access logging for this bucket, which is Deep AWS Foundation, which is in North Virginia region. I'll have to create one more bucket in the same region, North Virginia. Click on Next. I do not want to set up any one of these properties. Click on Next. This is where we'll have to make some changes. In Manage System Permissions, you'll have to grant Amazon S3 log delivery group write access to this bucket. If you do not grant this access, then even if you enable server access logging, your log files will not be stored in this bucket. In Manage System Permissions, grant write access to S3 log delivery group. Click on Next and then create the bucket. The bucket has been created. Now the second step is to enable server access logging. Go to this bucket, click on Properties, and then click on Server Access Logging. Enable Server Access Logging and then choose a target bucket. This is the bucket which you have created. In this drop down, you will see buckets only from North Virginia region. If you have noticed, there's no bucket from any other region. Even though I have two buckets from Ohio region, those buckets are not getting displayed here. That's why you need to create a bucket within the same region. Target prefix, you already know what this is. You can enable access logging for any particular folder also and then click on Save. So server access logging has been enabled for this bucket. S3 periodically collects access log records, consolidates the records in log files, and then uploads log files to the target buckets as log objects. I have already enabled server access logging for this bucket for some time now. This is the target bucket, AWS Foundation access log bucket. Go to this bucket and if you see, S3 has been delivering access log records for some time now. Click on any of the files This is an object. You have to give permission to this object using ACLs. This is the server access log record. There's not much record here because there has been much access to this bucket. This is the bucket owner or the canonical name of the bucket owner. This is the name of the bucket. This is the time at which request was received. This is the IP address of the requester. This is the ID of the requester. This is the operation rest.http method and then resource type. This is the object key. This is the request URI, HTTP status code, object size and total time as blank, and these are other information. Let's go ahead and see another log file. This log file only has one record. So this is the canonical ID of the owner. This is the bucket, this is the time, requester IP, requester ID, the HTTP method which was used, the URI, HTTP code, and then other information. So this is how access log can be helpful in analyzing and monitoring or auditing access logs to any particular S3 bucket. You can use an EC2 instance or EMR cluster to analyze these log files. Thanks for watching.